Today we are going to discuss chapter 14, sources of energy, for class 10. Energy is of course one of the most important aspects of our lives today. The world runs on energy. Energy is something that we simply cannot do without. The world needs energy for its day-to-day use. And of course, when we talk about energy, we often think about petrol, diesel, oil, kerosene, coal, and of course electricity. The problem is some of these sources of energy are not clean, they are not cheap, and at the same time they cause environmental issues as well. So when we talk about energy, what we really want is a clean, cheap source of energy. A clean, cheap source of energy is not always easy to obtain. For example, coal. When we burn coal, it creates a lot of pollution in the form of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, which of course results in global warming. We know that carbon footprint is something that all the countries in the world are worried about. People want sources of energy that they can rely on, continuously available, and at the same time it should be cheap. That's why you see when we talk about petrol and diesel, the first thing that we think about is the cost. The price of petrol and diesel has been increasing in the last 20-25 years. It has gone up 7 times, 8 times, and so on. And it is becoming costly. And in the future, it's going to become even more costly, simply because the stocks of petroleum and coal are running low. In fact, coal will last for at the most 75 to 80 years, and petrol and diesel will last for 60 to 70 years. That's about it. And even before that, the world is going to start facing problems. So we have got a window of about 30 to 40 years in which to solve our energy problems. All over the world, different governments and different private companies are focusing on alternative sources of energy, or what we call renewable sources of energy. These renewable sources of energy have got one major advantage. First of all, most of them are very cheap, they are easy to harness, and above all, they are clean for the environment. Take solar energy for example. Solar energy is one of the most viable forms of energy today. The sun has been heating the earth for millions of years, in fact for half a billion years. For 5 billion years, the sun has been shining on the earth, providing its heat and light and making life possible on the earth. Without the sun's heat, life would not be possible on planet earth. And as a result of which, plants have learned to convert solar energy into usable chemical energy. And of course, we know that as a result of green plants, life is possible on earth. So we owe life on earth to the sun's heat. And therefore, the sun's heat is the primary source of energy on earth. Plants have been using it for millions of years. Now it's our turn, humans, to use that solar energy. We need it not just for the heat, we also need the sun's energy for converting sunlight into electrical energy. And nowadays, of course, there are many companies which are developing solar panels which can convert solar energy into usable electrical energy. It is still in its infancy, it is still costly, not everyone can afford it, but the price of solar panels is decreasing every year. And soon, solar energy will become a household thing. Just like you have a refrigerator in your home, you will have solar panels on your rooftop. Everyone will be using it because it's so cheap. And as I said, it doesn't create any pollution. No carbon footprint, no carbon dioxide, no carbon monoxide, nothing to burn, and it is freely available. In countries like India, we have at least about 9 months of sunshine. 9 or even more than 9 months of sunshine. We can use that sunshine to produce electrical energy. So when we talk about sources of energy, we often classify energy into renewable sources of energy and non-renewable sources of energy. Renewable sources of energy are those that can be used again and again, and non-renewable sources of energy are those that cannot be used again and again. Non-renewable sources are exhaustible. We will run out of those sources of energy. You cannot use it forever. Petrol and diesel are non-renewable. You cannot use them again and again. And at the same time, they are limited, and therefore they will get exhausted. 70, 80 years at the most. That's it. But wind and solar power, they are years to stay. They will not run out. We will have plenty of them even 100 years from now. So we should be focusing on renewable sources of energy And the world is beginning to understand this. It's a fact that renewable sources of energy are here to stay. Now, what is a good source of energy? As I just said, that firstly, it should be easily available, easy to obtain from nature. It should not create pollution. It should be freely available if possible. And at the same time, it should not cause any pollution. Now, when I say freely available, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is available in nature. Of course, wind and solar power are available in nature, they are freely available. But any source of energy which is very cheap and causes no pollution whatsoever is a good source of energy. The problem with electricity is this, that electricity is not easy to store. We have got batteries, and batteries are storage devices, but batteries have limited capacity. You cannot store unlimited amount of electrical energy in a battery. There are small batteries, there are large batteries, but even the very large batteries have limited capacity. Today's lithium-ion batteries are very good, excellent storage devices, but they have the limitations. So when it comes to electricity, the major problem with electricity is that it's very difficult to transport and transmit from one place where the electricity is produced to our households. There is a loss of energy also along the way. It is dangerous when it is being transmitted from place to place. And electricity is not easy to store. Storage devices are few in number. So a good source of energy would be one which is cheap, widely available, easy to use, and at the same time not causing any pollution. Coal, petrol, diesel, kerosene, these are called fossil fuels, and they do not fall into that category simply because they are found in the earth's crust, and that's why they are called fossil fuels. But because they are found in the earth's crust, they are not easy to obtain. You need special equipment to get oil and gas out of the earth's crust. It's not so easy, and that is the reason why oil is costly. At the same time, there is a limited amount of oil available in the earth's crust, and therefore the price of oil keeps on increasing. 20-30 years ago, the price of oil and petroleum was very low. Today, that very price has gone up several times over. There was a time when petrol and diesel were available for less than $1, and now today it's gone up to $30, $40, and there was a time when I have seen the price of one barrel of oil close to $150. International market, oil is a precious commodity, and remember, from oil we get all kinds of petroleum products, including petrol and diesel. So a source of energy is supposed to be one which is easily available, widely used, at the same time cheap and non-polluting. Various renewable sources of energy like wind and solar power and even tidal power, they fall into that category. Nature has provided us that source of energy, the sun and the wind. If we have the power, the technology to use it, it can be widely used all over the world and for our own benefit. Alright, so what is a good source of energy? Then what is a good fuel? First of all, what is a fuel? A fuel is any substance which, when burnt, releases energy for our use. Petrol and diesel, coal, when they are burnt, they release energy, and therefore petrol, diesel, coal, kerosene, that is a fuel. We burn it for energy. But the problem with that is they also burn and cause pollution. They release carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So therefore, although we use it, we know that they cause pollution, and we are constantly looking for something else. Then heating, you see, we use energy sources not just for heating our homes. In cold places they need it to heat their homes, but we use it for cooking, and we use it for transportation also. And a time is soon going to come when electricity which is obtained from non-renewable sources will take the place of all these things, and that would be, of course, a good time for the whole world, because it means less pollution. Right. Conventional sources of energy. Conventional sources of energy are those sources of energy which are used conventionally, normally, regularly, on a day-to-day basis. Solar power is not something which we use on a regular basis, day-to-day basis. We are still far away from that. So solar power and wind power are not conventional sources of energy. They are renewable sources of energy, but not conventional sources. Conventional sources of energy are just things like fossil fuels. We use them on a daily basis. And coal is, of course, one of the most widely used fossil fuel all over the world, simply because it's very cheap. Petroleum and natural gas, which is obtained from the earth's crust. Although costly, it is also, the world runs on petroleum. We simply cannot do without that. Nuclear power and hydropower. Hydropower is something that we need to discuss. Tidal power or hydropower is the same thing. Hydropower is cheap because you see it uses the power of water stored in a dam. When water is stored in a dam at a height, it has potential energy. When that water begins to flow, that potential energy is converted into kinetic energy. And then that kinetic energy of water, when the water hits the turbines rotate in a magnetic field and they produce electricity. That is tidal power, or what is called hydroelectric power. It is the power of running water and therefore it causes no pollution. The problem with hydropower is that you need specific geographical location for that. You cannot have hydroelectric power on a small river. It simply won't work. A large river like the rivers of Punjab, okay, that is where you can set up a hydroelectric power station, like the one at Bhakra Nangal. The Bhakra Nangal power project is one of the biggest in India. The dam is huge, it's massive. Water stored can be used not only for drinking but also for producing electricity. And there are many other dams in India which are based only on tidal power stations. Now that's a good source of energy. It is a renewable source of energy because the water in the river will come every year. And it is also, it does not create pollution, which is of course a major problem today, pollution, global warming and climate change. We don't want that. So renewable sources of energy are good because they don't create pollution. Tidal power is even good, better than fossil fuels for the same reason. But tidal power has one limitation, as I said, geographical location of the river. The river must be located in such a place and it must be a very large river. Small rivers will not do. Then we come to thermal power plants. Thermal power plants have been available in India and all over the world for a long, long time. Thermal power is nothing but electricity obtained by burning coal. In a thermal power station, coal is burnt, water is heated, the heated water turns into steam, and when it turns into steam, the steam is used to rotate the turbines. The turbines rotate in magnetic field and produce electricity. And that's why it's called thermal power station, because it is obtained by heating coal, burning coal. But the major problem with coal is the pollution. It's a very dirty source, very dirty fuel, coal. Nobody likes it because it creates tremendous amount of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. In fact, many countries have decided to do away with coal completely. The United Kingdom has decided in the next few years it will not use fossil fuels at all. Well, in a country like India, that's not very easy. Okay, we have got millions of poor people and they cannot afford the costlier sources of fuel. They depend upon coal. And India is a large user of coal, and in the next few decades, we possibly will find it difficult to go away from coal. Alright, thermal power stations, hydropower plants, as I discussed, hydroelectric power stations are also very useful, but the limitation is geographical location. Then we come to improvements in technology for using conventional sources of energy. Technology is changing the world, we know that. Okay, your smartphone, you are watching this video because of technological improvements, and technology also helped us in producing better sources of energy, more energy. The problem lies here that we still haven't developed sufficient technology to use solar power and wind power on a massive scale. The world needs energy on a massive scale, and that is not easy to provide through non-conventional sources. Now, improvements in technology has allowed even the common man to be in touch with the best sources of energy. Biogas, okay, technology has improved to such an extent that you can use biogas, that is the methane gas which is evolved by fermenting biological waste such as cow dung, urine. Okay, these things that are put inside a pit, water is added to it, it becomes a slurry, and then it is allowed to undergo fermentation for about a week. Methane gas is evolved. That methane gas or gobar gas is used for lighting, for heating, and this is especially done in village areas, in rural areas where cow dung is available plenty because of animals. Okay, they use cow dung because simply cows and buffaloes are there on the farm. Alright, that is the conventional sources of energy and the improvements in technology. For example, solar panels. Solar panels are getting better and better. There was a time when solar panels were not widely available, they were not widely used. Today we have got fantastic solar panels, and these solar panels are delivering more, they are converting more amount of solar energy into electrical energy. Storage devices in the form of batteries, they are becoming better and better. These storage devices, once upon a time we did not, you see about 20-30 years ago, nobody had heard about lithium ion batteries, rechargeable batteries. Today lithium ion batteries, the rechargeable batteries have changed our lives. The smartphone is possible because of lithium ion batteries. And the inventor of the lithium ion battery was actually awarded a Nobel Prize for it. But the problem with lithium ion batteries is they are small. Their capacity to store electricity is limited. And we need more storage devices, bigger storage devices for household use. And battery research is going on. Probably in the next few years you will see better batteries replacing lithium ion batteries. Aluminium air batteries, liquid metal batteries, these batteries will soon start replacing the lithium ion battery. They are bigger, the better storage devices, and they are even cheaper probably. So we'll see a revolution in battery storage devices as well as. Then wind energy. Wind energy is a fantastic renewable source of energy simply because it is freely available. It is cheap. Okay, it's been there around there for millions of years and it will continue for millions of years. It's only how we can use wind energy. Okay, wind turbines have become better and better. Today, the Netherlands, Holland, okay, it's known as the wind country, the country where wind farms, plenty of wind farms. You go to Holland, you will see all over the place in the countryside, small wind farms and large wind farms producing electricity by using the power of wind. These wind turbines are also located in Saurashtra also, along the sea coast. Wind farms have got one major advantage. Of course, they don't create pollution, they're cheap. Once you set it up, they can last a lifetime. Very little minimum cost is required for maintenance of a wind turbine. Okay, what is called a windmill. Very little maintenance cost. And it can produce enough power to light up a home for the whole year. So these wind farms, of course, are extremely useful. Denmark and Holland both are well known for that. Now, what are the disadvantages of fossil fuel? This is all on page number 248. One of the biggest disadvantages of fossil fuel, as I have discussed, is the pollution. The incredible amount of pollution that is caused by burning fossil fuels has created havoc in our environment. One of the reasons why global warming and climate change is taking place is the burning of fossil fuels. In the last 100 to 150 years, the average temperature of the globe has gone up by almost a degree Celsius. 1 degree Celsius may not appear to be more, but when it comes to average temperature of the whole world, 1 degree is a lot. It is making unbelievable changes in the climate of the whole world. The global warming is a serious threat to the world, and burning of fossil fuels contributes to global warming because fossil fuels create carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide pollution. You go to cities like Delhi and they are highly polluted places. You just wouldn't want to live in a place like that. And there are plenty of places, not just in India but all over the world, where pollution and the consequences of pollution is a major factor. Then why do we look for alternative sources of energy? You see, we look for alternative sources of energy simply because the world cannot any longer hide from the fact that we are destroying our own problems. We are creating our own problems by destroying the environment and the air that we breathe. The traditional uses of energy, the conventional sources of energy, are not good enough these days. These days we need better sources of energy. 100 years ago, the population of the world was less than 3 billion. Today, the world's population has crossed 7.25 billion. That means the demand of energy has increased several times. And conventional sources of energy are just not good enough to meet that kind of energy requirements. And this is where non-conventional energy sources or renewable sources of energy comes into the picture. Solar energy. The world is talking about solar energy. Okay, you may have seen solar powered calculators. You may have seen many instruments working on solar power. You see, these instruments require very little electrical energy, and therefore for them it's okay. But when you need electrical energy on a major scale, like for running your own house, then these small little devices will not do. What you need is large solar panels. Solar panels that can convert electrical energy, solar energy into electrical energy every single day. For countries like India, where there is plenty of sunshine, it should not be a problem. But it is still very costly, and therefore everyone cannot afford it. A time will come when solar panels will become cheap and the world will start relying on solar energy. We got solar power cookers, and we got many other machines that work on solar energy. Now, the advantages of solar energy, as I have said, it is freely available, widely available. Most countries of the world have enough sunlight. Countries like India along the equator and along the tropics, we have got plenty of sunlight, about 9 months, 10 months a year, plenty of sunlight. It is freely available. When you convert sunlight into electrical energy, there is no pollution. And once you set it up, it can last a lifetime. And this is the beauty of converting solar energy into electrical energy. The biggest problem, of course, being storage devices in the form of batteries. Energy from the sea. Lots of people have often thought about, can we do something with energy from the sea, the tidal waves? You see huge waves. In some parts of the world, the waves are very big. The tidal waves that have enormous capacity, enormous power, they generate a lot of power, and that can be converted into electricity. Tidal power stations, they are called tidal power stations, and in France, there is a regularly working tidal power station in a place called Reims. And there, they have turbines which are located below the level of water. So when the tide comes in, the force of the water rotates the turbines. And when the force of the water rotates the turbines, it generates electricity. So it's a fantastic source of energy. Again, once it is set up, it can run for many, many years. That's the beauty of a tidal power station. No cost, very little cost in maintaining it. There is no cost in transmission also, and it's cheap. Then tidal energy, then wave energy, ocean thermal energy. Now, you see thermal energy of the oceans. In some parts of the world, the ocean water is not uniformly hot. In some places, the water is quite hot. In some places, the water is cold. So there is a difference in temperature. It's called a thermal gradient. Thermal means heat. There is a heat gradient from the low temperature to high temperature. And as a result of that, current is set up in the water. And that current can actually be used to rotate turbines. And that can help to generate electrical energy. Then we have got geothermal energy. When it comes to geothermal energy, the first name that comes to mind is Iceland. In Iceland, they've got geothermal springs, underground hot water coming out from the Earth's crust. That hot water is also full of sulfur. So lots of people love to bathe in that sulfur water. It's supposed to be good for the skin. But the temperature of water, that's the most important thing. It's quite hot. Some of these hot springs are really hot. People love to bathe in them, but that hot water can be used to generate steam and turn the turbines, and electricity can be produced. More than 50% of electrical energy in Iceland is met by geothermal energy. So Iceland is lucky, but all countries do not have that fortune. I mean, we in India, we do not have hot water springs. If you go to a place like Kulu Manali, you will see a few hot water springs. But other than that, there is very little in India. Nuclear energy. Now, this is the $1 million option. All over the world, many people are against nuclear energy because of the dangers of radiation. We all know what happened during the Second World War, when 2 atomic bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in Japan. It destroyed those 2 cities. And the radiation from that, not only destroyed one generation, but future generations have also felt the terror and the unbelievable problems due to radiation, even these generations today. So nuclear energy, although most people think it's not safe, but it is quite safe. Once it is properly maintained, when the nuclear power plant is maintained. If you see all over the world in the last 40-50 years, there have been 2 or 3 accidents only. One is in the Russian Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and then in America there was what is called the 3 Mile Island. These are places where there were nuclear accidents. But other than that, nuclear power stations are quite safe. And the energy which is produced from that is quite reliable and consistent. And of course, pollution free. It does not pollute. It does not pollute the atmosphere, but it can pollute the land if nuclear waste is not properly handled. The nuclear waste, the spent rods as it were, uranium rods which are spent all after all the fuel has been extracted, they still contain radioactive material. It is still radioactive, it is still dangerous, and that radioactive waste has to be properly buried in the ground, or else it can cause nasty situations. So nuclear power stations also, there is a debate going on all over the world whether we should be using or not. But I personally feel it's time when we should be thinking about nuclear option also. In India, 2% of all our electrical needs are met by nuclear power plant, which is very low. In France, almost 49% of electricity supply is through nuclear power plants. And that's good. It's good for them. Alright, that is nuclear energy. And apart from nuclear energy, there are other non-conventional sources of energy also. For example, nuclear fusion. But nuclear fusion is something that is only carried out in the laboratory. Why? Because the conditions for carrying out nuclear fusion are simply too much. Nuclear fusion takes place in stars, including our sun. Two hydrogen nuclei fuse together to form a helium nucleus, and large amounts of energy are released. But this thermonuclear fusion takes place only in stars. It's very difficult to replicate that process in the laboratory. So nuclear fusion is still a distant dream, although experiments are going on all over the world. And who knows, in the near future, we may be able to carry out nuclear fusion in the lab and use it for commercial purposes. But for the time being, it's a distant dream. So students, this was all about sources of energy, what a fuel is, what are conventional sources of energy, what are non-conventional sources of energy, what are renewable and non-renewable sources of energy, what are the advantages and disadvantages, and how global warming and climate change are the result of burning of fossil fuels. Now in my next video, I will take up the next chapter. So for the time being, you can watch this video again, second time, third time. You can rewind the video, you can fast forward it, you can pause it for a while, but try and watch this video and give me your comments. Thank you. Have a nice day.